Welcome to Caroline's Library, your go-to place for manga reviews. Not sure which series to pick up next? That's what I'm here for. Today we are talking about 12 must-read manga series, so let's jump in with some quick story setups and what makes each of these stories worthwhile. Starting off with Gachiakuta. The story begins on the Sphere, which is a floating island that moves around the globe. The Sphere society is split into the haves and have-nots, where barriers physically separate the wealthy from the poor. The surface of the planet is known as the ground, where criminals and trash are discarded from the Sphere. It is a toxic, polluted wasteland with pockets of civilization. Now, as for our main man, Rudo is a teenager with an obsession for trash. Living on the poor side of town with his adoptive father, his days often include dumpster diving to find worthwhile items to bring home and repair. That is, until Rudo is blamed and convicted for a crime that he did not commit. His cruddy life somehow manages to get worse because, as a convicted criminal, he is kicked off the island and sent to the ground. With a desire for revenge fueling his determination to live, he discovers what the ground is really like and what he has to do to survive. So what sets this series apart? For me, without a doubt, it is Gachiakuta's absolutely incredible and unique power system. In this world, there is a mysterious power source known as thought. Thought can accumulate in objects over time and can turn into energy known as anima. Usually these objects are people's sentimental items that they've loved and cared for throughout their life. Essentially, these things develop a soul, and certain people on the ground known as givers have the ability to turn these objects with enough anima into vital instruments. And also, remember how the ground is covered in trash? Well, that trash also has the ability to accumulate anima to turn into trash beasts, and the only things capable of defeating trash beasts are vital instruments. So cue some amazing battles between givers and these human-hating monsters. Give Gachiakuta 10 chapters to see if it's for you. Now for my favorite ongoing and underappreciated series, Windbreaker. Allow me to welcome you to Mikochi, the town of the infamous Furine High School known for delinquent brawlers. This town has been through the ringer, dealing with more than its fair share of street fights, vandalism, and harassment. Because of its history, very few people elect to move to the town, but of course, in walks Haruka Sakura. Sakura is about to voluntarily start his first year at Furine with only one goal in mind: to fight his way to the top. So why do I love this series? Simply put, it's the characters. The author did a tremendous job crafting well-rounded and relatable guys. We've got our hot-headed Sakura, who has an amazing character arc, a complex mentor that alternates between a goofy personality and an intense personality, and then there's the weakling best friend with a heart of gold, the mysterious and charismatic tease, and the stressed-out babysitter who pops in acid pills like they're M&Ms. And Windbreaker isn't just full of amazing protagonists. There are some truly complex antagonists throughout the story. Don't be surprised when you find yourself suddenly liking the bad guy from the previous volume. Right when you think you hate a character, a fight scene or a background story suddenly has you rethinking everything you thought you knew about that person. And of course, this character development happens through some truly epic fight scenes. The author cleverly uses fights to showcase camaraderie, empathy, and personal growth. And as the story builds to a gang war in later volumes, you get more intense, suspenseful fights that beautifully display the brotherhood that's developed between our characters. Give Windbreaker 8 chapters, and I guarantee you won't be disappointed. Moving on to Dorohedoro, a manga masterclass. This grimdark story begins in the Hole, a sorcerer's playground where humans are trapped in a gritty and dark society to be used as guinea pigs. Sorcerers visit the Hole when they want to experiment and test their abilities on helpless humans. One day, a sorcerer makes a terrible decision to try out their magic on Cayman by turning him into our lizard man. And now, Cayman and his friend Nikaido are determined to nullify the spell by hunting down the unfortunate sorcerer who picked on the wrong guy. There's just one small hiccup. Cayman and Nikaido don't know what this sorcerer looks like. The only thing they've got going for them is that a man now lives in Cayman's throat who's able to identify the guilty guy, which leaves them with only one choice: to shove every sorcerer they can find into Cayman's mouth, see what the throat man says, and then permanently get rid of that sorcerer. But doing this doesn't exactly go unnoticed, and Cayman and Nikaido have developed quite the reputation in the sorcerer's world. It doesn't take long for a couple of targets to be painted on their backs, and here's where the story takes off. Now we've got a game of cat and mouse where Kamen and Nikaido alternate between hunting and being hunted. So what makes Dorohedoro stand out as one of the best manga series? Well, out of all of the top-notch parts of the story, for me it comes down to the author's incredible attention to detail. From amazing artwork and background details, to character quirks that add depth to their personalities, the artwork in Dorohedoro is truly stunning. You can't help but admire this level of detail. It is worth it to read the series just for the art. And the author doesn't stop there. She also incorporates little details that you love to spot, like a straw in a wine glass, a guy who's into cross-stitch, and a gyoza bed. Give Dorohedoro 8 chapters, and trust me, you'll thank me later. Switching gears to Choujin X. In the Yamato Prefecture, superhuman beings known as Choujin have been known to indiscriminately wreak havoc on society. It's in this district that we meet Azuma and Tokyo. Disappointed that Choujin don't become defenders of the innocent, Azuma takes matters into his own hands by becoming a bit of a local hero who fights against injustice with the help of his trusty sidekick, Tokyo. But one day, Azuma and Tokyo are approached by some of the lowlifes that they previously dealt with, and this time they've come back with a vengeance. One of these lowlifes has gone to the extreme of becoming a Choujin by electing to use a sketchy injection. Knowing that humans are no match for Choujin and that they are in over their heads, Azuma and Tokyo are desperate to survive, and with their heightened senses in this life-or-death moment, they notice a couple of needles nearby. Realizing that they're Choujin injections, Azuma and Tokyo decide to use them to become Choujin themselves. But this is not a guaranteed way to become a Choujin, and if it's successful, the results are unpredictable, which they quickly realize as Azuma seems unaffected, while Tokyo transforms into a bestial Choujin. Choujin X has some quirky and unique characters, an interesting power system, and satisfying world building. For me, the best part of the story has gotta be the power system, with creative limitations that prevent it from being overpowered. And relatively early on in the story, we get insight into Choujin abilities and power levels that were incredibly well done. There are also a variety of Choujin types and a few ways for someone to become a Choujin, which adds some mystery and flavor to each character interaction. Give Choujin X 7 chapters, and I promise you'll be hooked. Now for one of my favorite series that is a mysterious psychological thriller, The Summer Hikaru Died. In a rural, quiet town, we meet Yoshiki and Hikaru, 2 inseparable teenage boys who have been best friends for years. One day, Hikaru decides to hike up the village's mysterious mountain, but when Hikaru doesn't come back home, search parties are sent out to find him. A week goes by, and Hikaru miraculously reappears. Life goes back to normal, but Yoshiki is not convinced. This Hikaru is different. He may look and sound like Hikaru, but something is off, and when Yoshiki decides to ask him about it, the shocking truth comes out. You see, when Hikaru went missing on the mountain, he was fatally injured and taken over by a powerful being. Desperate to stay by Yoshiki's side, Hikaru begs him to keep his secret, and Yoshiki agrees. But there will be consequences because of this mysterious being who has come down from the mountain. This story instantly captured my attention with a relatable MC, intriguing mysteries surrounding Hikaru and the mountain, and extremely satisfying world building. But what made this series become one of my absolute favorites are the mysteries that only get more complicated as the story progresses. What starts as a creepy old wives' tale about a mountain quickly escalates into a dangerous investigation into the dark history surrounding this village. Give The Summer Hikaru Died 9 chapters to see if it's for you. Moving on to a charming and action-packed series, Shinobi Undercover. Yurika is a skilled and deadly ninja known for being one of the best. You can trust him to handle any enemy thrown his way. But he does have one small issue. He's socially awkward and will do just about anything to avoid social interaction. And as a ninja, this usually is not a problem, until he receives the worst mission he could possibly imagine: to protect a high school girl by going undercover as a high schooler himself. And he's going to have his hands full with this absolute klutz of an assignment. Luckily, our MC is not alone and has a couple of ninja backing him up. Thinking he should be able to leave all of the social requirements to them, Yorika is prepared to observe and protect from a distance. That is, until the attachment latches onto our MC, determined to make him her friend. And with that, Yorika is thrust into the chaotic world of high school. Shinobi Undercover features an adorable and deadly MC, intense action scenes, and a slow burn romance, but for me, what sets the series apart are the support characters. Alongside Yorika, we've got a motley crew of quirky misfit ninja, mysterious operators, and oddball antagonists. Every ninja has a communication device where they are in constant contact with their operator, who helps to direct and manage the ninja during a mission. And we get some hilarious interactions between Yorika and his long-suffering and resigned operator, who is stuck helping Yorika with his social anxiety. Then there's Yorika's mentor, Mimizoku, and their relationship is so wholesome and heartwarming because Mimizoku is the exact person that Yorika needs to become the best version of himself. There's also Umineko, a secret Yorika fanboy, and Hibare, who may appear bubbly but has a crazy, scary side. And these two are quickly charmed by our earnest and sincere MC, and will defend him against any jerk who thinks otherwise. Give Shinobi Undercover 13 chapters for this crew to win you over. Next up probably has the funniest title of this list, Toilet Bound Hanako-kun. At Kamome Academy, 7 school mysteries are rumored to exist, and some bold or desperate students will take it upon themselves to test out these rumors to see if they're true, which is precisely how we meet Ishiro, a high school girl who really wants a boyfriend, and so she decides to seek out the 7th school mystery, Hanako, who is known for granting wishes to those who are successfully able to summon him. But her wish for love doesn't go quite as planned, and after an unfortunate series of events involving a mermaid matchmaker curse, Yashiro and Hanako end up being bound together in a contract where she becomes Hanako's official assistant. And together they investigate supernatural issues including mischievous fairies, angry spirits, and mysterious and manipulative enemies. But the school also has an exorcist student or two who are prepared to eliminate all of the school's supernatural beings, including Hanako. This story captured my full attention by Chapter 8, with a mysterious main character, goofy and entertaining situations, and unique supernatural beings. And what makes the series stand out as a must-read is Hanako, our leader of the 7 school mysteries. He is a cheerful, playful, and mischievous guy who can pack a punch when needed, and at first we only see this fun and protective persona as he and Yashiro get into tricky and dangerous predicaments where Hanako is constantly saving Yashiro from near-death experiences. But as we get further into the story, we see a more complicated and serious side of our MC. There are also some hints and glimpses into his past that show just how mysterious this guy actually is. And fair warning, his backstory is a tearjerker. At first glance, you might think that this manga series is basic and forgettable, with overused tropes like the high school setting, but this story differentiates itself and stands out as a must-read, with the intense backstories, unpredictable reveals, complex and mysterious characters, and unique takes on supernatural beings. Give Toilet Bound Hanako-kun about 8 chapters and you won't be disappointed. Now for a suspenseful manga, The Girl from the Other Side. The story starts off with a warning. Do not let an outsider touch you, because if they do, you'll be forever cursed. And with that, we meet our 2 MCs. Shiva, a 6-year-old girl, and Teacher, a cursed outsider. Because of that initial warning, you are instantly hesitant of this outsider being around the child. But that fear immediately washes away as it becomes clear that Teacher and Shiva are more like father and daughter. And the eerie suspense that brings us into the story changes into a sort of cautious relief as we see their day-to-day life. But even with this charming relationship, the underlying situation is still in the back of your mind because the society is physically split into the inside and the outside, where the inside includes the pure humans and the outside includes cursed creatures. So how did this young human girl end up on the outside? The Girl from the Other Side immediately hooked me with this conflicting first chapter where we have this eerie suspense and mystery alongside a heartwarming and comforting relationship. We've got this precarious piece with our 2 MCs where Teacher does his best to provide Shiva with a bubble-wrapped upbringing in their very abnormal situation. But Teacher is dealing with a 6-year-old, and the author realistically portrays what it's like raising a child who doesn't fully understand risk and fear. So this attempt at a peaceful life is quickly threatened as Shiva's naive and trusting nature brings about tense situations which help us to learn more about her terrifying predicament. And this tension is beautifully brought to life with haunting and poetic art. The author does a great job of drawing anguish, anxiety, and inner turmoil. Give The Girl from the Other Side 4 chapters to pique your interest. Now for Spy Family. Twilight is an elite, legendary spy and master of disguise who is given a top-secret mission to prevent a war between two rival nations. To do this, Twilight has to infiltrate a prestigious school to get close to the target, but this time he can't accomplish the mission on his own. So to his absolute shock and horror, he'll have to rely on amateurs by forming a fake family. Suddenly, our legendary spy finds himself at an orphanage, ready to adopt a child in order to get access to the school. Thinking that a kid will be enough to succeed at the mission, he's ready to go at it with just him and his newfound child, but this prestigious school is a bit traditional, and it seems that having a wife is one of the prerequisites. So now Twilight will have to manage a mission that includes two unknown and unpredictable complications, a wife and a child. And if that's not complicated enough, this wife and child have their own secrets, assassin and telepath secrets. This manga is absolutely chaotic and hilarious. It features an incredibly entertaining plot, charming MCs, and extremely amusing character interactions. For me, Anya makes this story a must-read. She is a goofy, innocent, and adorable kid who really tries her best. Well, between episodes of Spy Wars. And because of her telepathy, her reactions after hearing her parents' thoughts are some of the best parts of the story. Oh, and let's not forget the fact that Anya is the only one who knows the full story of who her parents actually are, a legendary spy and a dangerous assassin. And as Anya starts going to school, she uses her Spy Wars knowledge and telepathy to help her papa with his mission. Or at least, that's her intention. Give Spy Family 7 chapters, and I promise you'll be hooked. Next up is one of my favorite romance manga. Love, That's an Understatement. Risa is a studious and reserved high schooler who carries around a meticulously prepared bag filled with everything that she might need. An extra eraser, umbrella, first aid kit, towel. Just in case a situation pops up, she'll be prepared for anything. And on one rainy evening, Risa spots Zen, a badly beaten delinquent who she is quick to help. Asking for nothing in return, she continues on with her day, never expecting to see this guy again. But Zen is drawn to her unexpected kindness, and after tracking her down, he insists on returning the favor. With Zen's growing interest in Risa, he is determined to win her over, leading to a tender and genuine romance. But Zen's got some rivals who aren't too pleased with him, and they would love to break up this newfound relationship. If Windbreaker and the Fragrant Flower Blooms with Dignity had a baby, it would be this story. This manga perfectly combines delinquent violence with an authentic romance and features two relatable MCs, a fantastic crew of friends, and satisfying character arcs. Risa's reserved and guarded personality makes it difficult to fit in as she comes off as cold and aloof, but beneath her intimidating and detached exterior is a girl who wishes she could be more vulnerable and open. When in walks Zen, a delinquent with a heart of gold who is loyal, considerate, and genuine. And with Zen's down-to-earth and caring personality, he slowly starts to draw Risa out of her shell with their growing relationship that is emotionally safe and supportive, leading to a heartwarming character arc where Risa learns how to be vulnerable and trusting. But in the shadows, we've got a rival gang of delinquents led by Fumin, who are not too pleased with Zen and his new relationship, leading to some tense situations and violent scenes where Risa is dragged into Zen's delinquent world. Give Love, That's an Understatement 4 chapters, and you will fall in love. Now, wrapping it up with two chaotic stories, starting with Sakamoto Days. Meet Taro Sakamoto, a revered and feared hitman known for being the best of the best. That is, until he unexpectedly falls in love, retires from the hitman business, gets married, has a baby, and now looks like this. But some of Sakamoto's old buddies are not so pleased with his retirement, including Shin, Sakamoto's previous student who takes matters into his own hands and decides that it's time for Sakamoto to come back to the business. Well, that was the plan, at least. You see, this attempt doesn't go too well for Shin, who promptly gets mollywopped by our MC, who still packs a punch. But Sakamoto still cares for his old student, and after saving him from a near-death experience, things quickly escalate as Shin becomes the newest employee of Sakamoto's convenience store. Yeah. Now our ridiculously awesome adventure has begun, where Sakamoto and Shin recruit some quirky misfits to join them in this wild game of cat and mouse to defend our adorable MC's retirement, which leads to some insane, hilarious, and epic moments of complete mayhem and chaos. This absurdist manga series is absolutely laugh-out-loud hilarious. From character interactions to chaotic fights, this story is a complete joyride, pure and simple. Sakamoto Days features unbreakable misfit friendships, a secretive world of hitmen, and entertaining battles that balance intensity and humor. Give Sakamoto Days 6 chapters and see for yourself. And finally, Dandadan, a wild ride of supernatural chaos. Momo and Ken live completely different lives. One is a popular extrovert and the other is a nerdy introvert. But one day, Momo passes by Ken's classroom and notices that he's getting bullied. While Momo steps in to stop the jerks, Ken is left desperately trying to figure out what is happening. Jumping to conclusions, Ken assumes Momo is interested in his magazine that talks about UAPs and aliens, and things quickly spiral out of control as they start a heated debate about the existence of aliens versus spirits. Long story short, a chaotic sequence of events unfolds with alien spirit battles, awakened abilities, and human curse transformations. This series quickly becomes pure insanity, leading to some enjoyable character interactions, unexpected reveals, and ridiculous situations. In the midst of this absurdity, we have an adorable budding romance between our two MCs. But being high school students, they're not entirely sure what to do about their feelings, leading to a slow burn romance. And as we meet additional characters, the story gets wilder and wilder. Each character adds their own flavor of insanity to this unpredictable adventure. And with our growing crew of misfits, the author includes some character backstories that have a few scenes that could be triggering for some readers, specifically suicides and child sacrifices. But overall, this is a fun manga that leans into complete mayhem, and it kind of reminds me of Guardians of the Galaxy. Dandadan features a charming romance, a misfit family dynamic, and a mashup of ghosts, spirits, aliens, and more, making it a creative and absurd adventure. Give Dandadan 11 chapters, and I promise you will not be disappointed. And there you have it, 12 must-read manga series. If you've already read any of them, let me know what you think in the comments. Thanks for popping on to watch this review. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to like, comment, or subscribe for more content each week. And until next time, happy reading!